is being called a game of chicken is playing out in Washington over the nomination for a new head of the National Institutes of Health. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is refusing to call a hearing on any health nominee until he sees a White House plan to lower drug prices. Now, this was all laid out in a recent article by journalist Nathaniel Wexel in The Hill. And Nathaniel joins us right now to talk more about this. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time here today. Tell us first about this nominee to head the National Institutes of Health, Monica Bertagnolli. Now, she seems to be well regarded in her field, but are there any other controversies or reasons, of course, other than the Sanders demands, that would hinder her confirmation?
She's pretty non-controversial. She is a renowned cancer doctor. And having an oncologist running the NIH was something that Biden had pledged to do. So this would seem to at least fulfill that promise. She is already Senate confirmed because right now she leads the National Cancer Institute. So she's pretty non-controversial. It's really the health advocates I spoke with really seem to think of this as Senator Sanders picking a fight over issues that are sort of tangential to the NIH, and she's just caught in the crossfire.
Well, let's talk about that then. Senator Sanders, of course, the chairman of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. His support is vital to confirming Bertagnolli. What is he wanting in what he called a robust plan for lowering drug prices?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of one of the more specific phrases that he's used. The other thing that we know is he has said he wants the NIH to reinstate this provision from the early 90s called the reasonable pricing. And it was just something that was in place in the early 90s, and I think it lasted from just a couple of years. It hasn't been in place since 1993. So he wants the NIH to go back to this provision. But other than that, he's just sort of said, you know, I want a drug pricing plan from the White House. The White House has said, we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. We let Medicare negotiate drug prices. That should be enough.
And didn't he just meet with Biden this week?
Yes, he did. It was an unrelated meeting. Sanders was at the White House to meet with young labor organizers. So there were people from, Starbucks, for example, who have just recently formed a union. And he was asked about that, and he said, the NIH nominee didn't come up. So, right now we seem to be at a stalemate where Sanders says he wants something, and the White House has said, well, we've already given it to you. We don't really know what else you want.
Well, this type of tactic seems to be a strategy now in Washington, one person holding the administration hostage, if you will, until demands are met. We're seeing it with Senator Tuberville of Alabama holding up military promotions over abortion policy. We seem to be seeing it more often. Is it effective or is it destructive?
Depends on who you are, right?
Right, yeah.
I think if you're the nominee, there's a concern that it's destructive. And if you're allies of the nominee, you worry that this type of politicking is going to make it less likely that other qualified nominees are going to want to be put through the process. But if you're a senator who has a hold on a nominee and your point is being made and you get something in return, then it's effective. And I guess the larger concern here is that public health is supposed to be non-political. And a lot of the health experts who I spoke with have said they're really concerned that right now what we're seeing with NIH could translate into other health nominees in the future. If they're non-controversial, senators could bring in something unrelated to them and cause a holdup.
Right. So what is the timing here? If the administration can get Sanders on board, when could we see a confirmation actually happen?
I mean, we're probably looking till at least September at this point. Congress is really only in session for one more week before they leave town for the entire month of August. So things are slipping. And September is going to be really busy. Right now, the House and Senate have to agree on, the House first has to pass their own appropriations bills, and then they have to come to an agreement with the Senate on it. And as we've seen with Senator Tuberville in his hold on military nominees, there's a lot of controversial abortion policies related to LGBTQ programs. There's a lot of programs in there that Republicans are loading up with controversial amendments. So, the Senate's going to have to deal with that, and September is just going to be really busy. So, if this drags out through September, it's just the window is just closing, and we're not really sure how quickly it might happen.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, you almost expect this from the opposing party, but of course, Sanders is an independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats, so it's kind of surprising to see it happening there. But we'll, of course, keep watching. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. Nathaniel Wexler from The Hill, thank you so much for your perspective. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.